You are an entrepreneur, or you want to be. Finding success is not easy. That's why you want to listen to and take advice from someone who's been there. This is the #Attitudeshield podcast. No more hype, no more BS, no blah, blah, blah. We get right to it. To the point guidance on how to change the way you think and grab the life you've always wanted. This is the #Attitudeshield podcast. And now your host, a true serial entrepreneur, having owned bars, car lots, restaurants, marketing companies. He's done it all. Here's your host, Davidlparker.
Hey, welcome to #Attitudeshield. I am Davidlparker, like the crazy intro says. I got my coffee, I got my protein shake, I got my notes right here, and hey, it's me and you. All right, so let's do some talking. Loss of things. What an interesting title to talk about when we're talking about attitudes, right? Loss of things. What am I talking about when I talk about loss of things? Being a serial entrepreneur, being an active entrepreneur, is costly. It doesn't just cost you financially so that you can invest. It doesn't just cost you in your time. It can cost you in many, many relationships. But this is all part of understanding the trackable plan. Remember, there's the 4 spokes of the attitude shield. There's the belief, which is crazy important. There is the knowing and understanding and using the fact that it takes momentum, it takes movement, it takes getting off your tookus and getting on the hookus and causing a ruckus in the market to get motivation. You don't get motivated and get going. That's bull. And then you have to have your commitment. Commitment is very connected to motivation too, because if you're very committed, you're always motivated, or at least you're always working towards that. And I should do another episode, another show just on the fact that commitment and belief, not only are they so important, but they're also things that come with ebb and flow. There's things that they're great for times and they're challenging for times. And you have to learn not to be your own judge, executioner, and jury, right? We don't want to do all that. Our judge, jury, and executioner is the way I've called it in the past. All right. The trackable plan is the 4 spoke of the support system for the attitude shield, and we're inside that spoke. We're inside the trackable plan. We're inside understanding how things happen to us. We're inside understanding that relationships and business ideas come and go, and sometimes you have to be able to withstand them. You have to be able to, be able to go farther than they're able to go. Sometimes that sounds crazy. Maybe it is crazy. Maybe it's a little bit crazier than we expect it to be. Crazier to be than you could ever imagine. So grab your cup of coffee and let's talk. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. But I am a human being, just like you. And I've had loss of relationships. Now I want to talk about friendships. I want to talk about significant others, divorces or stuff like that. I want to talk about mentorship. See, I'm always saying, get a coach, get a mentor, get somebody who has skin in the game, who's trying to help you develop, trying to help you get from where you are to where you want to go, trying to help you realize and obtain those targets, chase down those dreams, make it happen. But what happens? What do you deal with as a serial entrepreneur? What do you deal with as a person with a side hustle when you realize or you learn or you lose your mentor? Death of a relationship is a death of a relationship. I don't know this for a fact, but I've heard it told that divorce can be more painful than the loss of a friend's life or a loved one's life, because when you lose a loved one like that, when they go to the next world, it's a final thing. It's a finality to it. But when a relationship crashes, I remember when I lost the relationship between my youngest two beautiful children and their mother. Whether anybody could tell it or not, it devastated me for about a decade. It took me a long time, even though I went on with life, because that's what it is. You got to keep going, to not still get, a little emotional behind the eyes when I thought about it, to, do some things. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not throwing no rocks. We have both grown and gone in different directions, and she's a marvelous human being. I wasn't good for her, period. I needed to change. I needed to develop Attitudeshield. I needed to understand some things. So that's one kind of pain. Losing a mentor or friend, a confidant, somebody that you turn to in business, that's different. That is painful in a way that makes you really take a look at where you come from and what you stand on. That's part of the trackable plan, realizing where you come from, what you stand for, and where you're going. Now, imagine, if you will, what it feels like to realize that a mentor that you've had for 30 years is full of shit. Now, they got great advice. Their advice. See, here's a mind trick of some things that sometimes we as humans have to understand. There are a lot of people out there with fantastic advice, great counsel, the ability to teach us things that are magnificent, the ability to completely help us restructure, redrive, refocus our lives, and they can't do it for themselves. Not even a little bit. That they can give you the world's best counsel. If you want to do this with your money, do this and this, and you make millions. They can give you advice on relationships. If you treat a girl or a guy like this, this, and this, and you have this beautiful marriage, beautiful relationship. They can tell you how to deal with conflict, how to build teams. I mean, the things that these people can tell you will blow your mind. And a lot of times, or sometimes, they can't do it themselves. Sometimes you find out that your mentor doesn't do anything that they say. They say never meet your heroes, right? Never really meet your heroes, because you'll always be let down by them because you made them a hero. That's why I'm always careful when I work with people who are in multi-level markets and I counsel them on their attitude, which I do often. They have ranks and positions, right? Some call them diamonds. Some places they're pro 10s. Some places they're CEOs. Some places they're double black diamond. Some places they're senior director sapphire. I mean, they have all kinds of interesting names. And these people have busted their butt and they've earned that rank. Now, no matter what you think about the opportunity, has nothing to do with what I'm talking about, but I've worked with people that are working to build those ranks. I've worked with people who have made those ranks. And I've had relationships with different kinds of people, but I see it happen all the time in those networking opportunities. And that is where people get really into how successful, and they think that this person who has this rank, this position, this given piece of paper of authority, has the ability to tell them something or teach them something or give them something that they need, and they believe that. And as long as they believe it, it's true, because they're able to take the advice and the counseling, you're able to move forward. But the moment you meet them, you may find out that the pedestal that you put them on, not that somebody else did, you did it. They didn't put themselves on the pedestal. They didn't give themselves a position in your world that's higher than it should be. You did. They didn't do it. They come tumbling down, and they don't even know they were there. They have no idea. That's very normal and common to happen. Meet a sports athlete or meet a movie star. I've met a couple. I met a couple that were nice, easy to talk to, and I met a couple that told me to take these 3 fingers and read between the lines. Okay? Because, they are they, and I was just me. Always will be just me. But when you lose a mentor, when you realize that the mentor is no longer someone that you can turn to, it's like feeling a death. When you realize the mentor had the best interest for you in mind, even though they couldn't do it themselves, does that mean they're a bad person? Now, psychologists would have to look into that. Does that make them a narcissist? I don't know. I'm not into psychology. I went down that road and decided it wasn't for me, because working with people to become better entrepreneurs and successful is a lot more exciting than helping everybody figure out how to stop wetting the bed. Come on, I'm just getting a joke there, right? Because I don't know, what do they do? Good coffee, good coffee. Thank you, Soldier Girl Coffee. So the loss of a mentor can be crazy painful, but part of the trackable plan is, now what do you do? Part of the trackable plan is you have to look at the advice, the counsel that person or people gave you, and take the value out of it and use it. Look, the worst person in the world can give you some advice that's actually good. A person who is completely atrocious can still give you some good advice. The value of the advice is not connected to the authenticality, how authentic the person is that's giving it to you. Holy crap. My grandfather and my father have given me advice, and you don't even want to know my opinion of them, because this is a positive show, and this is all about Attitudeshield, and we don't talk about negative stuff. But sometimes this trackable plan, you have to be able to track and understand the loss of a mentor. Now, how about loss of friends? Now, listen, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you're going to lose friends. Why? Because you're going to be working when they're playing. You're going to be working when they're out running around on their side-by-sides. You're going to be working when they're going on their goofy vacations. You're going to be working while they're hanging out at their houses, barbecuing, drinking beer, and talking about the latest sporting event. You're going to be working, Mr. and Mrs. Serial Entrepreneur. So, do you lose friends? You're darn right. Don't you remember the old crab in the bucket story, or misery loves company, or company loves misery, or whatever you want to call it? People want you to be where they are. So when you're no longer there where they are, then they start to walk away. And it just never seems to stop. Business plans. Now, we're entrepreneurs. We have to think about being able to pivot. Now, sometimes the pivot means to stop. Sometimes the pivot means that the business idea that you thought was there, the opportunity that you were aware of, that you investigated, that you put your heart and soul into, isn't going to go anywhere. Listen, this can't all be flowers and roses. I promise you, no sugar-coated blah, 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 blah stuff. Sometimes in serial entrepreneurship, you're going to have to stop and redirect your energies. You're going to have to reevaluate the entire situation. And sometimes you have to start over. Sometimes you have to stop, readjust, and maybe even completely shut the business down. Maybe you've signed yourself a non-disclosure. Now you got a 6-month or a year waiting time, because what? You don't think you could be doing something affiliate? You don't think you could be doing something and find out that the people that you're doing it for just don't have the same dream, the same vision, the same drive, or the same customer level of satisfaction target? That's right, customer satisfaction target. Could do a whole show on that, Mr. and Mrs. Serial Entrepreneur. Customer satisfaction. Maybe they just don't care. Maybe they love to say they care and they don't care. Maybe their goals aren't aligned with yours. Maybe their targets are nowhere near yours. It happens all the time. But business plans, sometimes the best laid plan. Who was it? Mike Tyson said, everybody, I could be wrong here, don't get mad at me, said everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. Yeah, until you get punched in the mouth. just like being in the Army for 22 plus years. Everybody's got a plan when they're over there in the Middle East, when they're over there in combat. I mean, there's a whole bunch of Russians right now. Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth, right? Bam, right in the mouthy. So we got to be able to pivot. We got to be able to track what we're doing when we pivot. We got to be able to look at something and say, what does this look like? We got to be able to understand our thought process. Now, I decided I wanted to share something with you, something that I think is something to know about. I want to go ahead and share my screen with you, and I want to show you something I like to do when I'm looking at stuff. Okay, so here we are on a simple, everyday, no big deal, right? Paint. It's just a simple program. All right, we're on here, and we have this idea. Whoops. You know what? I'm gonna put on my glasses. All right, here we go. We're gonna do that right there. We have this idea. We're gonna put it in this circle. All right, and we're gonna pop in here. Idea. Right? What is the idea? I don't know. You tell me, what is the idea? But the idea could be a business idea that you have, right? Well, it didn't work out, did it? Ideas are a dime a dozen. Having one doesn't always make it a good one. But let's say here's an idea. And I put it in this thing. Now, this is what I call, and I didn't make up this name, a mind map. So here's the idea. We have this thought. We're a serial entrepreneur. We're looking at something. We have this thought right here, right? We're looking at it. Now you have to say to yourself, well, what does this thought, where does it go? Where does it go? How do I make this thought happen? So the idea is going to need some different things, right? I mean, it's going to need some support. It's going to need some money, right? And then I need to figure out my niche, my target base, my people. Who are they? Niche people. And I built something like this because it's a trackable plan. What was my idea? So maybe today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about, I'm going to share one of my thought processes with you. Here we go. We're going to change the size here. All right. Now, I know if you're listening to this on a podcast, you're like, what is he talking about? But tour bus was an idea. Limo, right? Tour bus, limo, transportation company. What is my support? Now that means I'm going to need a vehicle. I'm going to need insurance, drivers, right? Initial investment. Well, you got to come up with that. So do I want partners? Do I need to get a loan? Am I going to go ahead and do it with my own money? And then who's your target? Mine is luxury tours. Why? How does this work? What am I talking about? I'm talking about if you have this from the beginning, the trackable plan, and then all of a sudden something happens. Now let's say that this business idea right here doesn't end up working. This business idea right here doesn't end up being something that comes to fruition. It fails. Maybe we discover as we go through our trackable plan, as we're going through things as an entrepreneur, that we can't get the insurance, right? What if we can't get it? What if it's too expensive? You can't have the insurance. What if hiring drivers, they need a CDLB, and today's transportation world has a hard time having CDLs? Well, what if you don't want to do any of these, or you just can't get one of those? What if you can't figure out what a luxury tour is? What if there is no niche for what you're doing? It's almost like, here's the thought, something just to think about. In the business world, in the restaurant world, Think about this. You ready? How many restaurants have you been into? IHOP, for example. IHOP to me is a perfect example where I'm going. How many times you got into an IHOP and can you get a latte or an espresso with your breakfast? You can't. How many places have you been? There's a sit-down breakfast restaurant with an espresso machine. I'm not talking about Starbucks, and I'm not talking about Dunkin' Donuts, and I'm not talking about your local donut shop or your breakfast pastry store that's independently owned or is a coffee franchise. I'm talking about a breakfast place. Louis Diner in Spearfish. Yep, Spearfish or Sturgis. Guess what they don't have? Last 37 times I checked, they did not have an espresso machine. Why? Does that mean there's an opportunity in the market? Does that mean that you should open up a breakfast place with a espresso machine? Or does that mean that there might be a reason to pivot there? Does that mean that other people have done the research? So where am I going with this? Maybe your business plan proves to be not exactly as clear as you thought it was going to be. Maybe you thought your business plan wasn't going to take you in the exact direction you thought you were going. Maybe you're going to have to reevaluate and pivot. Maybe you're going to have to take 6 months off. Maybe you're going to have to stand back and go, wait. Gas prices have gone through the roof. So maybe starting a limousine company today may be a little expensive. I mean, think about it. If you were driving a limo bus a year ago or 2 years ago when gas was like, what, $1.90? And you decided to start that company today and gas is $4.50, $4.40, $4.20. That's a different investment level. It's a different problem. It's a different support demand. So sometimes we lose the business idea. Now, am I telling you I lost my transportation company idea? No, not even close. Do you know why? Because part of Attitudeshield has taught me to research. Now, I don't research to the point of analysis paralysis. I don't research to the point that I don't never get anything done. I don't research to the point that I never actually do anything but research. But I do enough, and I talk to enough. Let me tell you something. Let me end the show on this. I never go to a dentist to ask him how to fix my car. And I don't go to a mechanic to fix my bones. And I don't go to a doctor to show me how to build a business. Well, maybe they're a successful business person. What I'm saying is I go to SMEs, subject matter experts. You want to start a transportation company? You want to be a limo owner? Go hang out with people who own limos. Go talk to successful 35-year-olds who have 30 different transportation vehicles doing 1,500 runs a year. Find out what they're doing. You want to own a digital marketing company? Go find one and talk to them and find out how customer support is supposed to work and how things are supposed to work and do what they do. Now, do it to where it's yours because you're the serial entrepreneur. Do it to where you have your fingerprint on it. Do it to where everybody can see the echo of your presence. Want to own a bar? Talk to me. You want to own a bar? Talk to people who own bars. You want to start a restaurant? I have a video course called Idea to Plate. I can help you go from the pen and the paper all the way to the food on the plate, step by step. You want to own a restaurant? Don't go talk to the tattoo shop guy who's never owned a restaurant. You want to own a restaurant? Don't go talk to the car mechanic who is a brilliant car mechanic who's never owned a restaurant. You want to own a taxi company? You go talk to a taxi owner. You want to own a taxi company? You call me, and I'll turn you on to one of the best taxi owners I know. As a matter of fact, isn't that what networking is all about? Helping each other meet the right people to get the right information so that we can move forward. Now, remember, sometimes we're going to lose. Sometimes we're going to lose relationships. We're going to lose mentorships. We're going to have to readjust our business plan. We're going to have to change how we do things. We're just going to have some losses. But in the trackable plan, if you can go back and take a look at where you started, you can redirect from wherever you need to. You know what? Unfortunately, I tell you, sometimes the only thing you can do with a business plan is start over. But hey, here's the great thing. When you have to start over, You're not starting from scratch. You're starting from experience. Every single time you start from experience, you win because you know some more things you need to do and you know some things to stay away from. This has been #AttitudeShield. This has all been about dealing with the loss. Sometimes you lose a mentor. Sometimes you lose friends. Sometimes you lose a business plan and you got to pivot. But the bottom line is you keep going because you're going to win. You're going to win. If you never quit, you can't be a quitter.
You've been listening to the #AttitudeShield podcast. Davidlparker is a serial entrepreneur. Having owned bars, car lots, restaurants, marketing companies, he's already gone through the ups and downs. And his passion is to point guidance on how to change the way you think to live the life you've always wanted. We pride ourselves on information you can use between 20 and 30 minutes. We'll be back soon. David is an active and inspiring speaker. Reach out now to book him. Hit the website at attitudeshield.com or email to attitudeshieldmentor@gmail.com. See you next time on the #AttitudeShield podcast.